I'm disappointed, man. Today I failed. I failed the overhead press 5 times. Now, I've had a little bit of a while to think about it, to reflect on it, to take it in, and upon further consideration, a 65 kilogram overhead press, which I did actually hit that on Wednesday, is likely to be probably my strongest lift right now. If weighted chin-ups wouldn't count, and I still believe that my weighted chin-up, if I would attempt a max on it, should be the most impressive out of all of my lifts. But yeah, overhead press, I've got a pretty strong overhead press, but I have goals beyond 65, and failing 65 was very, very disappointing. And what was even more disappointing was that it didn't just happen for no reason. It didn't even happen because I was fatigued. It happened because I've been slipping in the diet portion of my life. You know, a big part of these training cycles is gaining a certain amount of weight, bulking, putting on a certain amount of body weight in order to put on a certain amount of strength. The goal for this training cycle, as you guys know, is 80 kilos. To have an 80 kilo body weight as an average weight throughout a whole week. That's the goal for this training cycle. Right now, my body weight so far last week averaged 77.33, and this week my body weight averaged only 76.76. So I lost, I don't know how much, less than a kilo, but it's the better part of a kilo this week as compared to last week. And it's clear that it has affected my overhead pressing strength and my pressing strength in general, as I actually failed a bench press yesterday. I failed my bench press twice before I got it on the third attempt. Today, I only failed the overhead press. I couldn't even get it on any attempt. Pretty much all of the attempts. Attempt 3, this was the best one. Looks like I can get it, but I really can't. Every single attempt here, it was sticking at my forehead and eye level, which is basically when my upper arm bone, whatever it's called, is parallel with the floor. So it's just 90 degrees. So boom, see, my arm is parallel to the floor, pretty much. That was fail number 5. Couldn't even really move it at all. So yeah, it was probably silly to do 5 attempts, but today hurt my ego. Not in the sense of I couldn't hit the number, but in the sense of I know deep down inside that this week I haven't been doing what I should in terms of the diet, in terms of eating the food. Right, the goal for this week is to average 77.33 as an average weight. Right now I'm averaging 76.76. So that is, I'm bad at math, but that's a lot under what I should be averaging. That's the better part of a kilo under what I should be averaging. And that just shows a simple lack of dedication when it comes to eating a certain amount of food that I need to eat in order to make the kind of progress that I need to make. So you can see me screaming at the bar there. I was very, very upset with that failed lift. And once again, it wasn't even a case of me not knowing why I failed it. I knew exactly why I failed it. You see, being in a caloric surplus and eating a lot in general helps you to gain muscle. It helps you gain muscle because eating, I've said this before in my videos, but eating a lot of food and being in a caloric surplus builds muscle through similar pathways as anabolic steroids. Similar effects. Now, it's a lot less extreme, but it's the same thing. It's the same concept. It's the similar hormones, and they have similar effects on all the muscle cells and all the, muscle fibers, whatever. So yeah, I am I'm disappointed, man. I'm pretty sure that I've probably lost a little bit of muscle in my delts, and I may have lost muscle in other places. Probably not, but you never know. And that sounded kind of funny. You never know. Yeah. And in general, like, if I continue down this path, we know that once you lose muscle in one place, you're probably down the line going to lose muscle in more places. Especially when the muscle loss does not come from a lack of volume, it comes from a lack of sufficient calories to support it. Because my overhead press right now, I'm really pushing it. 65 is a very strong overhead press when you compare that to my bench press, and even when you compare that to, say, my squat. I do believe a 65 kilo overhead press is likely to be one of my more impressive lifts. I can't do the math on it in my head right now because I can't talk and do math simultaneously, but I do know that my overhead press is absolutely right now slightly disproportionate. It's slightly stronger than my bench press when it comes to just muscle balance. Obviously, people have different structures and different bodies, and everyone's going to have different ratios. But, I mean, it's a bit like having a squat that's stronger than your deadlift, all right? That's very unusual. And that's indicative of either a very strange, structure, very strange bone structure, very strange and unusual body type, or it has something to do with which muscles you have developed and which muscles you're weak in. For example, very, very weak lower back, incredibly weak hamstrings. A lot of those guys who still have good squatting leverages, who still have short femurs, can just overdevelop their quads and get a very strong squat, while having a deadlift that's lower, right? Well, for me, I have shoulders that are a bit stronger proportionately to my chest, just slightly, and I probably do have slightly weak triceps as well. But at any rate, my overhead press is slightly stronger than my bench press when it comes to proportions. And I do think a part of that is me being lean, because the fatter you get, the stronger your bench press becomes. But I don't think it's only that. I just simply think that my delts are probably a bit more developed in terms of their absolute peak potential than my chest. And it could also be a genetic thing. Maybe my delts and my chest, but maybe the ratios are going to be distorted like this forever. I don't believe that to be the case, though. But anyway, what I'm trying to say here is my overhead press is not advanced at all. It's not even intermediate. It's still a novice overhead press. We need to be very clear about that. I'm a novice still, guys, in terms of my strength. It doesn't matter that I've been training more than 3 years. I'm a novice, all right? A intermediate overhead press would be, what would that be? Like, probably like 70 kilos for like 5 reps, something along those lines. So, yeah, I'm a noob when it comes to the overhead press still, and I've been training for more than 3 years, but my overhead press is still stronger than many of my other lifts, proportionately. So it isn't strange that the overhead press is the first thing to start losing strength. The lift that I'm pushing the hardest, the lift that, or maybe I'm not pushing it the hardest, but it is the lift that is the strongest in comparison to everything else. But, if I'm starting to spontaneously just lose muscle in one place, even if it's on a low level, because, I probably have only lost a couple grams of muscle in my delts. Some people would argue I've not lost anything, I'm just fatigued. I disagree with that opinion. If you are of that opinion, which you might not be, but if you are, I disagree with you there. I do believe that I've lost muscle in my delts since I've lost body weight and I got weaker. The X factor here, sorry, my voice is really destroyed from just screaming, being upset. The X factor here is obviously, fatigue. I just hit my lifetime record. I just hit a lifetime personal record on the bench press and on the overhead press in the same week. And so that was one day I hit my lifetime record overhead press. Next day I hit my lifetime record bench press. Then the day after that, which was Wednesday, I matched my lifetime record overhead press, then matched my lifetime record bench press on Thursday, and now on Friday I wanted to match my lifetime record overhead press again on a Friday after 4 hard days of training. Now, a lot of people would just say, oh, it's just a programming issue. Just back off, take a rest day, whatever, and you'll come back, you'll be stronger. I disagree. I think it is a case of, if not muscle loss, it is a case of me not gaining any muscle at all. Because if I would have gained muscle, I would have been stronger, even though I was fatigued. At least I would be able to move the same weight. So yeah, I think it's pretty clear that I probably lost a little bit of muscle in my delts, and that was very disappointing to me, because yeah, I know the amount of work it would take for me to get back on track with my weight gain. It's a lot of work. I wouldn't call it pain and suffering, but I would call it discomfort. Eating a lot of food is not comfortable. Otherwise, otherwise I would be 100 kilos of pure muscle. Not quite, but I'd probably be well above 80 kilos at this point and going strong. But, it is what it is. Bulking has always been difficult for me. I have had several different bulking plans throughout my life that have just failed tremendously. And the only bulking plan that I've ever been close to succeeding with is actually the plan that I'm currently on. However, the last week I've been slipping a bit, so I've got to get back on track with that dedication, with that discipline. And yeah, it's not just the training. Right now, all I'm focused on is the training. The training's like a chore for me at this point. But it's like I use the training to build the training. You know what I mean? Like the Thanos meme. I use the stones to destroy the stones. But yeah, it's not I use the training to get better at training. It's I use the training to stimulate the muscle, or to fatigue the muscle. But I also need the nutrients, and right now I'm not supplying my body with the nutrients necessary for rapid muscle growth, which gaining strength at this rate requires rapid muscle growth. And you guys still can't see it on my body, but I have gained a lot of muscle so far this year, by natural, non-steroid, teenage standards. But right now we're slipping. We're not doing very well right now. We need to work on eating more and work on being consistent with the diet. And pretty soon I'll be back on track. But we'll see how it goes tomorrow, since I have to not only match my lifetime squat record, I also have to match my lifetime bench press record, and I also have to match my lifetime deadlift record, all on the same day. So tomorrow I'm really going to test my mettle, and you guys will see how it goes. But yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.